All right, so let's see what this thing can do, shall we? So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about biscuit joinery. And I like using biscuits. They're relatively easy to do and to cut out. There are tools made just for that. And this is the one that I have. This is a Porter Cable biscuit cutter. And it allows you to do different size biscuits. And it lines up everything for you automatically. The fence is adjustable, so you can do 90 degrees or flat parallel biscuits if you want. So what it does is it cuts out these holes in the pieces of wood, and you go from one side. So if you look here, I have the wood is marked all the way across, and I just line up the mark on my Porter Cable biscuit cutter with this mark, and then cut out my little round holes here. Now, there are a couple different sizes. There's a 10 and whoops. Now there's a couple different sizes. There's a 10 and a 20, and they're not much difference, but they are a little bit different. So I use the 20s for gluing up larger piece of wood like this, and then I use the 10s for like my door fronts here, as this just came apart. And I got to make sure I handle this correctly so it doesn't fall all over the place, and you guys see that. Don't want that happening. Okay. So anyway, like this. So the drawers for the cabinets, I use the 10s because they're a little bit smaller and there's not as much room width-wise, especially going into the ingrain. Now, I like to use biscuits mainly for lining up things. So when I make my biscuit cuts and the lines are all on the same size and the biscuit joiner has made that cut, it puts it down in the middle at the exact same depth. So the nice thing is when they all line up, your wood will generally line up pretty good. Now when you have stuff that is different thicknesses, like the Purple Heart here is a little bit thicker than the maple, then it all lines up on one side, which makes it nice. And then of course it goes through the sander, doesn't require as much sanding. So it puts everything in the center. So let me get this on over here, out of the way. So biscuits have, biscuits don't really add strength. I use them more for alignment. And you can use them for shelves going in 90 degree, but basically it's just a butt joint with a little bit of a biscuit sticking into it. So I do use them for that, but I rely on the butt joint more so, or I might put a little bit of a dado across there just so that the shelf or the separation piece, whatever that may be, going at 90 degree, will have a little bit more grip and a little bit more glue surface. But for pieces that are end to end like this or side to side, perfect for using on those. Now sometimes these get a little bit fat because of the moisture. So what you want to do is you want to keep them in a place where, or in a bag, like I keep them in a Ziploc bag here, and I have some of the silicone bags inside here to draw out the moisture so that they stay nice and fresh and they don't swell up from humidity. If you're in a real humid area, that can swell up quite a bit. So what I do is I just get rid of them. Like if they're swollen up, they're not that much unless I have a bunch of them. Then I have heard that you can bake them. As a matter of fact, I think I might try that for one of our videos, just bake them down and see if they'll fit. But these right here are pretty thick, so when I push them in, they're pretty fat. Now, sometimes you can have a problem with the biscuits actually expanding out so much that they spread the wood, so they make this little bubble there. I've never had that. I've used them on maple, oak, hardwoods. Maybe if you use them on softer woods like pine, that might be an issue, but it hasn't been for me. So when you glue them up, all you want to do is you want to make sure that you get glue down inside here so some glue is on these, and then your main gluing surface will be the ends of the boards gluing into each other. So that's going to be the main focus for your adhesion and for everything to stay together. These, like I said, they add a little bit of strength, obviously, because they're extending into the wood on both sides, but I use them more for alignment more than anything else. And most of the time, when they do go in, they do swell up, so they do add a little bit of strength there because they swell up and they make it a little bit tighter joint here. So it's good to have them fit. Like this one here is kind of a little bit tight. This one just falls in and out real easy, and same way with this one. So if it gets to where I have to like bang it down to put it in there, then I don't use those. I use the ones that are, I'd rather have them loose than tight. So that's my thoughts on biscuit joinery and how to use that. And like I said, it's something I use all the time. It's worth getting and worth using. It's not a super strong joint, but it is a nice way to line up everything to make it easy, especially when I do drawer fronts. Once I clamp them all together, it lines up perfectly, and you know, goes together much, much easier. So I wanted to add a little bit to that video about how I use the biscuits to align everything. And here I have a drawer that, let me just get you one here. That's going to end up looking like this. And I have biscuits in there already that align up everything into these drawers. Drawer fronts, I should say. So one of the things is that the biscuits that have been sitting in these drawers have been in here for a couple of days, and they've already expanded from the humidity, and I live in a desert environment. But they expanded enough where they're a little bit tight, so I'm going to put new ones in. I took out all the old ones, and I'm putting new ones in out of my bag that has keeps them dry. But biscuits are perfect for aligning these parts and helping you when you glue it up, because it puts everything at the same height and keeps them where they're supposed to be, and then helps hold them together a little bit. Now, it doesn't do a tremendous job at that. I mean, it doesn't, you know, lock them in, but it does definitely help things stay in place. So what I will do is start putting some glue on, and I am letting glue fall down in these holes. I probably should have added some paper down there, but too late now. We're into it. So we'll just finish this up, then I'll come back and put some paper before I do the other drawers fronts. All right, so open up these. All right, put these on in here. And again, I'm using the number 10 size. And you get that roughly lined up to where it should be. I want to put a little bit of glue on this one. Now you'll find that you don't need a ton of glue on this stuff when you have the biscuits, because the glue is gonna, you do want some in the biscuit slot because it will expand the biscuit out. But you get a pretty tight fit, so as long as you have some squeeze out, you want some squeeze out, but you don't need a ton. So that's why generally I will put the glue just on one side, except my ingrain. Sometimes I put it on two sides, although maple's pretty good. It's pretty pretty closed wood, so you don't necessarily need so much. All right. Put that there. There's the spot I need for that. Oops. Make sure. And you can see that I'm still working rather fast because I don't want them to swell up too much before I get it all aligned up and clamped in place. Now, as you can see, the slots that are made for these biscuits are a little big, and they do allow a little playroom. So you want to get this lined up close, which is what these are. And I'll clamp this down somewhat. Then what you want to do is you want to get a clamp across the other end. To sort of push those two together. There we go. And what I'm doing is I'm looking towards the corners here to make sure that they all line up good, which they do. And just like that, I have all of them glued in place, all aligned and glued up together. So biscuits really do add a lot to helping get everything aligned and make it easy for you to glue up even complicated miter joints going into flat square pieces in the center. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna put a couple on the outside now that it's all in place. And I put a couple of clamps on the outside of the wooden frame here so that that way I can make sure that I get my 45-degree miters glued up tight, which is what they are right there. So that all looks good. Tighten down everything. And there it is. The use of biscuits really helps this go by much quicker, helps you assemble things faster, keeps them in line, and they do add a little bit of strength, and they do expand to help hold everything together. So definitely give biscuits a try. They are well worth the money invested. Once you have a biscuit cutter, you'll probably use them all the time. I like it, and I'll continue to use it for probably as long as I'm doing woodworking. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe and like. And if you do like these type of videos, I will be putting out more. Please leave any comments below. I always try to answer all of them. And I do appreciate your feedback. And if you have a better way of doing this or a different idea, please do share. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching.